What are some lessons that we can learn from the new apocalyptic movie, Leave the World Behind? Hey guys, Titan Apprentice, welcome back to the channel. Last week's video I did a review of Leave the World Behind, hit some of the major pinpoints in that movie. In today's video we're going to discuss it as a lessons learned movie. Now last week I said it's not a great prepper movie, it's not even a great movie. But that doesn't mean I can't learn from it. I've read things and I've watched things that I did not personally like. And even though I don't like them, I can still learn lessons from them. So let's kick this off with lesson learned number 1, and that is don't be a Danny. Danny was the only prepper in this movie. Danny was ready for the apocalypse. You see Danny loading up his vehicle. You know Danny's got prepping supplies at home. The problem is everyone knows about Danny. If you are prepared, if you are a prepper, don't let everyone know that you're a prepper. GH does not live in this town full time, but yet he knows that Danny is the local town's prepper. Why? Because Danny buys all his shit at the same place. Danny buys all his stockpiles at the same store. He's driving around his pickup truck that's got 5x9 kits, which are basically survival buckets. He's got food buckets in there. He's got rice. He's got water. Everyone sees that Danny has prepping supplies, and everyone knows that Danny is the prepper. Danny is also the dumbest person in this movie, because if this event happened, and you know that the neighbors have a doomsday bunker, why would you not go to the doomsday bunker? But instead, Danny says, hey, you random strangers, y'all 6 people, y'all should go to the doomsday bunker instead. I'll stay here. I'll stay put. Unless you have your own doomsday bunker, head for the doomsday bunker, right? Danny's probably the dumbest person in this movie. He's the only prepper, and it makes preppers look bad. That's why I say it's not a prepper movie, because the only prepper is the dumbest one. Don't be a Danny. Right. Lesson number 2, have a plan and put that plan into action quick. The family of 4 had no clue what was going on. They just thought the internet being out and ships crashing on shore, it's another day in paradise, right? GH, on the other hand, he thought that something was going down, so he moved out of the city into this better neighborhood. He moved away from the city and went to his potential bug-out location. At least it's not inside the city. The first night, as soon as the power outage hit, he's like, oh, nope, we're not staying here, let's go. He grabs his daughter, they grab some gear, and they leave. That's what you need to do. You need to get out of Dodge quick, and that's what he did. And he got there. Yeah, now there's people in his house, but, you know, he worked his way into it, and he was safer than if he stayed in the city. Lesson learned number 3 is keep prepping supplies on you, even on vacation. Even when I go on vacation, I'll at least have a bag of some kind, right? I've got a water filter in there, I've got a couple days worth of food, I got a way to cook. And that way, even if we lose power while we're on vacation, I at least have a meal for the next day or two. They don't think of prepping supplies until like 3 days in, when the red wave comes down and it says death to America on the pamphlets. That's when Amanda starts worrying, oh, we should fill up the bathtub. Do we have gas? Do we have water? Do we have water filters? That's not the time to be thinking about it, right? I can't tell you how many people wait till after the storm done hit, and then they try to go to the store and buy up their supplies. Y'all should have that stuff on hand, at least a bag, right? Would this movie be very different if they didn't have to worry about where their next meal was coming from for 4 or 5 days? Absolutely. And if they had to bug out on foot because the car stopped going out or because they ran out of gas, well, now they have supplies on hand and they're not worrying about, oh, what meals are we going to eat for the next 3 or 4 days? Lesson learned number 4 is pay attention to information being put out. The information that GH received beforehand, it was nothing other than someone telling him to stay safe and moving a bunch of money. But that was a red flag. And then when Amanda wakes up on day 2, after she's done seeing the emergency broadcast alerts, well, she wakes up and there's information on her phone. It says, you know, hackers attacked power grid, and then it's got some Arabic writing or whatever. But it's talking about these news alerts. It's talking about these information that might not be beneficial, but at least it's information. Because throughout the whole movie, the information pipeline is completely down. And sometimes you don't get information. How many times have we seen in places that are hit with hurricanes, floods, tornadoes, the information doesn't get put out, right? No one knows where the church is going to set up a food stand because no one can put out information. Information is key, and when you lose that information, people start freaking out. Having discussions with some of my coworkers about this movie, you know, the power being out wasn't the big problem. We've had 10, 15-day power outages here where I live. That wasn't the problem. It was when the information shut down. when the cell phone networks go down and when the towers go down and when the information stops being put out, right? The Wi-Fi signal's out, you can't access the internet. When you can't get information, that's when people start freaking out. Lesson number 5 is always be ready. A lot of people think this movie is a prediction for what is coming. And especially with part 2, the Civil War coming out, maybe it's part 2, maybe it's not part 2, coming out, right? They're like, oh, this is predictive programming. Well, if it is, are you ready for it? If it is predictive programming and they're putting it out and they're saying, hey, this is what we're going to do to America in the next 5-10 years, and you still sit back and do nothing, that's on you. Whether this movie is predictive programming or not, or whether this movie is just, a 2-hour waste of time, doesn't really matter. Right? Because I can sit here and tell you to watch the news articles on the hurricanes, the power outages, the cold snaps down in Texas. Those have happened. Those will happen again. Those happen every single year. And yet people watch that and they're like, it won't happen to me. Mug, you live on the coast of Florida. You know you're getting hit with a hurricane and yet you still don't prepare. If this movie is predictive programming, if it is, the future that we're looking forward to, then you need to be ready. You need to go out and be prepared for it. If it's not, then it's just a 2-hour waste of a movie, and that's fine. But if it is, and you still do nothing about it, that's on you. That's on your family. Take this with a grain of salt. Maybe it is the future. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just a 2-hour waste of time for entertainment values only. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't be prepared. Right? As I said, this is not a good prepper movie. But it is a good discussion movie because you can sit here and you can talk about, okay, what would happen if this happened? What would happen if something similar to this happened? What if I go on vacation with my wife and kids and we lose power? What if, I go and the major cyber attack happens? How long do I have before I have to get home? Am I 20 minutes away or am I 7 hours away? Do I know the roads, the back roads? Because the freeway, the interstates are going to be down. Do I have a plan to walk on foot if I had to? Right? These are all questions that you can start asking. What if I'm at home and the power goes out? Just a simple power outage, not a cyber attack, nationwide cyber attack. But what if I'm at home and the power goes out? Do I have water? Do I have food? Do I have a way to cook and keep warm? Because if not, well, don't be worrying about the Civil War that y'all think is coming. Worry about the little things that you can fix and get them fixed. Get them stocked up. Get them prepped up. Get them ready in case something like this does happen. So anyway, let me know down below what other lessons you learned from this movie, what you thought of this movie. You thought it was good, bad, indifferent, good 2-hour waste of time, or did you think like, oh man, this is the future and they're telling us what they're going to do? Let me know down below. Also put any more lessons that you learned and any other better prepper movies, because I thought this one was, mediocre at best. Let me know down below. That's all I got. Y'all stay safe out there. T2 out.